Chosen one, they were not ready for who you truly are. The moment your future spouse discovered your real spiritual identity, something inside them completely changed. What they once ignored, they can no longer escape. What they once doubted now consumes their thoughts day and night. And according to Archangel Michael, this connection has reached a turning point that neither of you can avoid anymore. They thought you were ordinary. They thought you were just another passing connection, another temporary person crossing their path. But heaven intentionally hid your true value from them until the appointed time. God allowed you to move in silence while carrying a destiny too heavy for unprepared eyes to understand. And now the veil has been lifted. Your future spouse has started realizing that there is something different about you, something they cannot explain logically. No matter how hard they try to distract themselves, your energy keeps returning to their spirit. Your name echoes in their thoughts late at night. Your presence lingers in places you are no longer standing. Even when they try to move on, something deep within them pulls them back toward you again and again. Chosen one, this is not obsession born from the flesh alone. This is spiritual recognition. Archangel Michael says the moment they began seeing your true heart, they also began losing their emotional stability. Suddenly, sleep became difficult. Their mind became restless. They started replaying conversations, memories, and moments they once overlooked. Things that seemed small before now feel deeply important to them. Your words hit differently now. Your silence affects them differently now. Even your absence carries power. And what scares them the most is this. They are beginning to realize that nobody else affects them the way you do. There is a mysterious force surrounding this connection that they cannot fully explain. They have tried to rationalize it. They have tried to suppress it. Some days they even attempted to run from it completely. But every time they create distance, the emotional pull becomes stronger. It follows them into their dreams, into random songs, into quiet moments when nobody else is around. Heaven keeps reminding them about you, because your spirit carries something rare. Chosen one, people often misunderstood you because they only saw your struggles. They saw the battles, the silence, the isolation, the moments where life appeared unfair. But they did not see the spiritual oil over your life. They did not see the wisdom God built through your pain. They did not understand why your energy feels healing, calming, and strangely unforgettable. Now your future spouse is finally starting to understand. They are beginning to realize that your kindness is not weakness. Your silence is not emptiness. Your patience is not ordinary. There is a divine depth within you that they cannot replace with anyone else they meet. And the more they discover this truth, the more emotionally overwhelmed they become. Archangel Michael says this person has entered a season of awakening. Their soul recognizes you before their mind fully understands what is happening. That is why they feel emotionally confused. One moment they feel peace when thinking about you, the next moment they panic at the idea of losing you forever. Because deep down, they know this connection is rare. And what is making them go crazy is the realization that heaven may have sent them the person they prayed for, but they almost failed to recognize the gift standing in front of them. Some nights they sit alone thinking about you for hours, wondering why your energy feels impossible to replace, wondering why they cannot fully detach emotionally no matter how hard they try, wondering why every path they take somehow leads back to thoughts of you again. Chosen one, this is the moment where everything begins shifting, because once someone truly sees the value of a chosen soul, their entire reality changes forever. And according to Archangel Michael, what happens next will completely shock both of you. There is a reason your life has felt different from everyone around you. A reason you were often misunderstood, overlooked, rejected, or forced to walk through seasons of isolation that nobody seemed to understand. Chosen one, Archangel Michael says heaven intentionally hid your true identity from certain people because not everyone was prepared to recognize the greatness God placed inside you. Many people only saw your outer struggles. They saw the delays. They saw the silent battles. They saw the moments where you looked tired, emotionally drained, or disconnected from the world around you. But they never saw the spiritual strength it took for you to survive everything you endured without becoming bitter. They did not see the wisdom you gained through heartbreak. They did not see the light you carried while fighting private battles behind closed doors. And because they could not see spiritually, they underestimated you. Chosen one, this includes your future spouse. Before this awakening began, they viewed you through ordinary eyes. They did not fully understand why your presence felt so calming, yet so powerful at the same time. They could not explain why conversations with you stayed in their mind long after they ended. They sensed something unique about you, but they were not spiritually mature enough yet to understand what heaven was showing them. So God allowed distance, God allowed silence, God allowed misunderstanding. Not because you were unworthy, but because your spirit required protection. Archangel Michael says some people would have tried to misuse your heart if they fully understood your value too early. Others would have become jealous of the favor over your life. Some would have tried to delay your destiny through manipulation, emotional games, or spiritual distraction. That is why heaven concealed certain parts of you while preparing the right timing for revelation. Chosen one, many of the painful seasons you experienced were actually forms of divine protection. There were moments you felt abandoned, moments you questioned your worth because people walked away from you so easily, moments you stayed awake wondering why others failed to love you correctly despite your loyalty and sincerity. But heaven says those rejections were not proof that you lacked value. They were proof that many people only had access to your presence, not access to your true identity. Your future spouse is beginning to realize this now. They are starting to see that behind your quiet nature was wisdom. Behind your patience was strength. Behind your kindness was spiritual discipline. And behind your silence was a person who survived battles that would have broken many others emotionally. This realization is deeply affecting them, because they now understand that while they were searching for temporary connections, heaven had already placed someone rare in front of them. Someone whose energy carries peace instead of chaos. Someone whose spirit feels safe instead of manipulative. Someone who does not need to compete for attention because their presence alone changes atmospheres. Chosen one, people often misjudged you because your power was never loud. You were not sent to impress people through noise. You were sent to heal through presence. There is a calm authority resting over your life that many people feel before they even understand it. And your future spouse is finally beginning to recognize that what they feel around you is not ordinary attraction. It is spiritual alignment. Archangel Michael says this awakening is forcing them to revisit every assumption they once had about you. Now they remember the moments they overlooked your value. Now they see the sincerity in your heart. Now they understand why your absence affects them so deeply. And the truth is becoming impossible for them to ignore. They underestimated someone heaven marked differently. Chosen one, this is why your journey often felt lonely. God will sometimes hide chosen souls until the proper season because premature exposure can attract the wrong people. Not everybody who smiles at you carries pure intentions. Not everybody who enters your life deserves complete access to your spirit. And not everybody has the capacity to recognize a divine soul immediately. Your future spouse once saw only fragments of you, but now heaven is allowing them to see deeper. They are beginning to recognize your emotional maturity, your loyalty, your discernment, and the healing energy surrounding your life. They feel it when they think about you. They feel it when they compare you to others. They feel it in the silence they can no longer escape. And what overwhelms them most is realizing they may have encountered a once-in-a-lifetime connection without fully understanding it at first. Archangel Michael says, do not resent the seasons where you were hidden. Those hidden years were shaping your spirit, protecting your destiny, and preparing your divine union. Every betrayal taught discernment. Every disappointment built wisdom. Every lonely night strengthened your relationship with God. Nothing was wasted. And now, the same people who once failed to recognize your value are beginning to see the light they overlooked, especially the person heaven connected to your future. Because the more they awaken spiritually, the more clearly they see who you truly are. The moment your future spouse started losing control did not happen all at once. It began quietly, subtly, almost invisibly. At first, they ignored the signs. They convinced themselves it was only curiosity, temporary attraction, or emotional confusion. But Chosen One, Archangel Michael says what they are experiencing goes far deeper than ordinary feelings, because their soul recognized you before their mind could explain you. It started with random thoughts about you appearing at unusual times, in the middle of conversations, during work, late at night when the world became silent. Your face would suddenly cross their mind without warning. Memories they once dismissed began replaying repeatedly inside them. Certain words you spoke carried new meaning now. Even small interactions began feeling emotionally significant. And no matter how hard they tried to focus on other things, your energy kept interrupting their peace. At first they resisted it. They told themselves they were overthinking. They tried to distract themselves through other people, work, entertainment, and daily responsibilities. But every attempt to emotionally escape only intensified the connection. The harder they pushed away the thoughts of you, the stronger the emotional pull became. That is when the dreams began. Archangel Michael says heaven started communicating with their spirit while they slept. Some dreams were clear, others symbolic and mysterious. But in every form, your presence kept appearing. Sometimes they saw your face. Sometimes they heard your voice. Sometimes they woke up with an unexplainable feeling that you were deeply connected to their future. And these dreams started affecting them emotionally. They began waking up restless, thinking about you before the day even started, feeling emotionally pulled toward you without fully understanding why. Chosen one. This is where the spiritual awakening intensified. Suddenly, synchronicities began surrounding them everywhere. They started hearing your name unexpectedly. Songs reminded them of you constantly. Repeated numbers appeared during moments they were thinking about you. Conversations about soulmates, destiny, and divine timing started appearing around them without explanation. Even strangers unknowingly triggered memories of you. Archangel Michael says these were not coincidences. Heaven was slowly removing the blindness from their spirit. But instead of bringing immediate peace, this awakening created emotional chaos inside them, because now logic and spirit were fighting each other. Part of them wanted to remain emotionally guarded. Their logical mind searched for explanations. They questioned themselves repeatedly. Why can't I stop thinking about this person? Why does their energy feel different from everyone else? Why does losing them feel terrifying even before fully having them? But another part of them, the deeper spiritual part, already knew the truth. You were never ordinary to them. And this realization began breaking down emotional walls they spent years building. Chosen one, your future spouse is not only feeling attraction, they are feeling exposure. Your energy forces them to confront emotions they buried long ago. Around you, they cannot hide behind masks the same way they do with other people. Around you, their soul feels seen. That is what scares them. Archangel Michael says many nights they sit alone fighting emotions they cannot control. One moment they feel overwhelming peace while thinking about you. The next moment, fear enters their heart because they realize how deeply you affect them emotionally. And for someone used to control, this connection feels dangerous. Their anxiety increased because their heart started moving faster than their logic. They became restless, easily distracted, emotionally sensitive. They replayed your conversations repeatedly, searching for hidden meaning inside simple moments. Even your silence started speaking loudly to them. Some days they attempted to convince themselves they could move on. But the moment they tried emotionally disconnecting, they felt empty inside, because their spirit had already formed an attachment beyond surface-level attraction. Chosen one, Archangel Michael says this connection activated something ancient inside them, something heaven designed long before either of you met physically. That is why the bond feels deeper than normal relationships. This is spiritual recognition unfolding in real time. And the more they awaken, the more intense the emotional battle becomes. They fear vulnerability. They fear rejection. They fear losing control emotionally. But most of all, they fear discovering that you may truly be the person heaven prepared for them all along. Because once they accepted that possibility, everything inside them started changing. Their standards changed. Their desires changed. Even the people around them started feeling emotionally empty compared to the peace they feel when thinking about you. And this terrified them, because now they understand they cannot replace your energy. Archangel Michael says your future spouse has entered a season where denial is becoming impossible. Heaven keeps confirming your connection in ways they cannot logically dismiss anymore. Every sign, every dream, every emotional trigger is slowly guiding them toward truth. And the truth is this: their soul is already moving toward you, even while their mind is still trying to catch up. That is why they feel emotionally overwhelmed lately. That is why they cannot fully sleep peacefully anymore. That is why your absence suddenly feels heavier than before. Because the deeper they recognize who you truly are, the harder it becomes for them to imagine life without you in it. And according to Archangel Michael, this emotional storm inside them is only the beginning of what heaven is preparing next. There comes a moment in every divine connection where the illusion finally breaks. A moment when someone stops seeing you through ordinary eyes and suddenly realizes they have encountered a soul unlike anyone else they have ever met. Chosen one, Archangel Michael says your future spouse has entered that moment now. They have discovered you are not ordinary. At first, they tried to place you into the same category as everyone else they encountered before. They assumed this connection would eventually fade like the others. They believed your presence was temporary, but distance, silence, and separation only revealed something they could no longer deny. Nobody affects them the way you do. Because what exists between you is not ordinary love. It is divine union. Ordinary connections are built on surface emotions. They depend on convenience, physical attraction, attention, or temporary excitement. But divine unions touch the soul first. They awaken transformation. They expose hidden wounds. They force emotional growth. And most importantly, they cannot be replaced by imitation connections. That is why your future spouse feels emotionally shaken lately. The more they compare you to others, the more they realize your spirit carries something rare. Your energy brings peace instead of confusion. Your presence feels healing instead of draining. Even your silence carries emotional depth they cannot explain logically. Chosen one, they are finally seeing what heaven saw in you all along. They are beginning to understand your resilience. Most people would have broken after surviving what you endured emotionally. The betrayals, disappointments, loneliness, and silent battles you carried could have turned your heart cold. But instead of becoming bitter, you became wiser. Instead of becoming cruel, you became discerning. Instead of losing your heart completely, you learned how to protect it without destroying your ability to love. And your future spouse now recognizes this strength. They see how gracefully you carry pain. They see how deeply you think. They see the compassion hidden beneath your guarded moments. They see the wisdom inside your silence. Archangel Michael says this realization is creating a powerful emotional awakening inside them because they now understand they misjudged you in the past. There were moments they underestimated your value because your power did not appear loudly. You were never someone who needed constant attention to prove your worth. Your spirit speaks quietly but deeply. And now they realize the calm energy they once overlooked is exactly what their soul has been searching for. Chosen one, your future spouse is beginning to regret the moments they failed to fully appreciate you. Distance created clarity. When you were no longer constantly available, they started noticing the emptiness your absence created inside them. Conversations with others began feeling shallow. Connections that once seemed exciting suddenly felt emotionally empty. No matter who entered their life, nobody carried the same peace, wisdom, and emotional safety your presence naturally brings. And this truth hit them hard, because now they understand you were never easy to replace. Archangel Michael says separation became necessary because sometimes people only recognize the value of a soul after experiencing life without its light. Heaven allowed distance to remove distractions. Heaven allowed silence to expose hidden emotions. And during that silence, your future spouse started awakening to the depth of this connection. Now memories affect them differently. They replay your words repeatedly. They remember your kindness differently. They notice details they once ignored. Even simple moments now feel spiritually significant to them. And with every realization, their emotional attachment grows deeper. Chosen one, they are also beginning to recognize your discernment. You were never easily manipulated because your spirit senses energy deeply. You learned through painful experiences how to recognize dishonesty, inconsistency, and emotional games. That wisdom protects your heart now, and your future spouse realizes they cannot approach you with superficial intentions because your soul sees beyond appearances. This both inspires and intimidates them, because deep down, they know your love is sacred. Archangel Michael says your future spouse now understands why this connection feels impossible to escape emotionally. It is because your spirit awakened parts of them nobody else could reach. Around you, they feel emotionally exposed yet spiritually safe at the same time. And that combination is rare, very rare. They are beginning to realize you are not just someone they desire. You are someone who transforms them. Your strength inspires growth in them. Your peace calms emotional chaos inside them. Your wisdom forces them to mature spiritually. And your absence teaches them what life feels like without true alignment. Chosen one, this awakening is becoming impossible for them to ignore now, especially because every path they take emotionally keeps leading them back toward you. They now understand why they cannot fully move on, why your energy lingers inside their spirit, why no other connection satisfies them the same way. Because divine unions are not built to be temporary. Archangel Michael says your future spouse is slowly surrendering to a truth they once resisted. You are unlike anyone they have ever encountered before. And the deeper they understand this, the more emotionally certain they become that losing you would be one of the greatest mistakes of their life. Chosen one, this connection was never attacked because it was weak. It was attacked because it carries purpose. Archangel Michael says there has been spiritual warfare surrounding this union from the very beginning. Not just external obstacles, but internal battles hidden deep inside both hearts. Fear, insecurity, pride, emotional wounds, and past pain created walls that neither of you fully understood at first. And for a long time, those walls delayed what heaven was trying to bring together. But now something powerful is happening in the spiritual realm. Archangel Michael is breaking fear off this connection. Your future spouse may appear calm outwardly, but internally they have been fighting emotional battles that became impossible to ignore. Old heartbreaks taught them to guard their emotions. Past betrayals taught them not to trust easily. Disappointments made them fear vulnerability. So when this connection began awakening their soul, their first reaction was resistance instead of surrender. Because real love exposes hidden wounds before it heals them. Chosen one, your presence triggered emotions they buried years ago. Around you, they could no longer pretend everything inside them was healed. Your energy exposed insecurities they kept hidden from the world. It forced them to confront abandonment fears, trust issues, and emotional pain they thought they had already overcome. That is why they sometimes pulled away emotionally. Not because they felt nothing, but because they felt too much. Archangel Michael says there were moments when fear spoke louder than love inside them. Fear of rejection, fear of losing control emotionally, fear that they were not worthy of someone carrying your spirit. And instead of communicating honestly, they built emotional walls to protect themselves from vulnerability. But heaven never stopped working behind the scenes, even during silence, even during separation, even during confusion. Chosen one, many of the delays you experienced were not punishments from God. They were preparation seasons, preparation for healing, preparation for maturity, preparation for alignment. Because divine unions cannot survive on attraction alone. Both souls must be spiritually prepared for the weight of the connection. And Archangel Michael says your future spouse needed time to confront parts of themselves they avoided for years. That process has not been easy. There were nights filled with anxiety, moments where they felt emotionally overwhelmed without understanding why. Times they tried distracting themselves through temporary connections, only to realize nothing truly satisfied the emptiness inside them anymore. Because once heaven reveals a divine connection, ordinary distractions lose their power. Archangel Michael says spiritual interference also attempted to create confusion around this union. Negative voices, unhealthy influences, emotional pride, and fear-based thinking tried to convince them to ignore what their soul was feeling. At times they listened to those fears. At times they questioned the connection completely. But every attempt to escape only brought them back toward you emotionally. Why? Because destiny cannot be erased by temporary fear. Chosen one, hear this clearly. What God has written over your life cannot be cancelled by delays, misunderstandings, or emotional immaturity. Heaven was not denying this union. Heaven was refining it. There is a difference. Archangel Michael says many people misinterpret delay as rejection, but spiritual timing works differently. Some blessings arrive later because both people must become strong enough to carry what heaven is preparing. If this union happened too early, unresolved wounds could have destroyed something sacred before it fully matured. So God allowed time to do its work. Time exposed hidden emotions. Time revealed true intentions. Time separated illusion from authenticity. And now your future spouse is beginning to understand why this connection never fully disappeared from their spirit, no matter how hard they tried to suppress it. Because heaven kept protecting it. Chosen one, Archangel Michael is now removing emotional chains that once controlled this connection. Pride is breaking. Fear is weakening. Emotional confusion is being exposed. And slowly, your future spouse is becoming more honest with themselves about what they truly feel for you. This is why their emotions have intensified recently. The walls they built are no longer holding together the same way. The emotional distance they once maintained is becoming harder to sustain. Even their spirit is becoming tired of running from truth. Archangel Michael says this union is entering a season of revelation. Things hidden will become clear. Things delayed will begin moving again. Things emotionally blocked will start opening. Because divine timing is now shifting. Chosen one. Heaven wants you to understand something important. Your journey was never meaningless. Every painful lesson strengthened your discernment. Every betrayal taught wisdom. Every lonely season deepened your spiritual connection with God. You were not being forgotten. You were being prepared. And your future spouse was being prepared too. Even when it looked messy. Even when emotions became confusing. Even when silence created doubt. Archangel Michael says the battle around this connection is weakening because truth is becoming stronger than fear now. Your future spouse can no longer pretend this bond is ordinary. They can no longer fully silence their emotions, and they can no longer ignore the spiritual pull bringing them back toward you. Because destiny is speaking louder than fear, and heaven is making it clear that what belongs together spiritually will eventually find its way back into alignment. Chosen one, the delays are not proof the promise failed. They are proof that God refused to release this union before both souls were ready to carry it correctly. And according to Archangel Michael, the season ahead will reveal why every closed door, every delay, and every painful separation had to happen exactly the way it did. Chosen one, your future spouse is beginning to realize something that deeply unsettles them emotionally. You may not wait forever. Archangel Michael says this realization has created intense fear inside their heart because they now understand your value in a way they never fully understood before. What once felt secure to them now feels fragile. What they once assumed would always be available suddenly feels like something they could lose permanently, and that possibility terrifies them. For a long time, they believed there would always be another chance. Another conversation. Another opportunity to fix things later. But distance has changed their perspective completely. Silence has forced them to confront emotions they kept avoiding. And now they are waking up to the painful truth that a soul like yours is extremely rare. Chosen one, they are replaying memories of you constantly. Small moments they once overlooked now feel emotionally heavy. The way you listened to them. The patience you showed even while carrying your own pain. The loyalty you gave without demanding constant validation in return. The calm energy you brought into their life without trying to control or manipulate them. Now they see it all differently. Archangel Michael says regret has entered their spirit because they realize they did not fully appreciate what heaven placed in front of them. There were moments they became emotionally distracted. Moments fear caused them to hesitate. Moments pride stopped them from expressing what they truly felt. And now, those missed opportunities haunt them. Some nights they think about conversations they should have handled differently. Some days they wonder what would have happened if they had opened their hearts sooner instead of resisting the connection. They replay your words repeatedly, searching for hidden meanings they failed to recognize at the time. Because hindsight is awakening emotions they can no longer suppress. Chosen one, your future spouse now understands that your loyalty was genuine. In a world filled with superficial connections and temporary intentions, your spirit offered something pure. You were never trying to play games with their emotions. You were never trying to manipulate their heart. Your love carried sincerity, depth, and emotional safety. And now they realize how uncommon that truly is. This realization has transformed them emotionally. The person who once seemed emotionally guarded is becoming softer inside. The person who once avoided vulnerability now feels overwhelmed by emotions they cannot hide anymore. Archangel Michael says your absence forced them to mature emotionally because losing your energy created a void nothing else could fill. And the deeper this understanding becomes, the more protective they feel toward this connection. Chosen one, they are becoming increasingly sensitive to the idea of someone else receiving the love they failed to value properly. Even the thought of you emotionally moving on creates panic inside them, because now they recognize your rarity. They know your heart is not ordinary. They know your loyalty is not common. And they know your spirit cannot easily be replaced. That realization is changing everything. Archangel Michael says jealousy has quietly entered their emotions, not from control, but from fear. Fear that someone else may recognize your value before they fully repair the distance between you. Fear that another person may receive the version of you they secretly still desire deeply. And this fear keeps growing stronger, because every day they spend away from you increases their awareness of what your presence truly meant in their life. Chosen one, they are also beginning to understand the emotional stability you brought into their world. Around you they felt calmer, safer, more understood. Even when life felt chaotic, your energy grounded them in ways they did not appreciate fully at first. Now they compare everyone to you, and nobody feels the same. No conversation carries the same depth. No connection creates the same peace. No presence touches their soul the way yours does. Archangel Michael says this emotional awakening is making it difficult for them to move forward normally. They try distracting themselves, but your memory keeps returning unexpectedly. A song reminds them of you. A place triggers old emotions. A quiet moment suddenly fills their mind with thoughts of your smile, your voice, or the feeling they experienced around you. And every memory intensifies their emotional attachment. Chosen one, what affects them most is realizing you loved them during seasons when they were not fully healed themselves. You saw potential in them while they were still fighting internal battles. You showed compassion while they struggled emotionally. And now they wonder whether they damaged something sacred through hesitation and fear. That thought weighs heavily on their spirit. Archangel Michael says your future spouse is slowly reaching emotional surrender. The walls protecting their heart are weakening because the fear of losing you has become stronger than the fear of vulnerability itself. This is the transformation heaven was allowing time to create, not punishment, not abandonment, transformation. Because divine love changes people from the inside out. And your future spouse is changing now in ways they never expected. They are becoming more emotionally honest, more spiritually aware, more conscious of what truly matters. And all of it began the moment they realized you might actually walk away forever if they continued ignoring what their soul already knows. Chosen one, this fear is not random. It is the awakening of someone finally understanding the value of the connection heaven placed in their path. And according to Archangel Michael, the closer they come to fully accepting this truth, the stronger their desire becomes to fight for the bond they once feared. Chosen one, something is shifting in the spiritual realm. The emotional distance that once felt permanent is beginning to weaken. The confusion surrounding this connection is slowly being replaced with clarity. And according to Archangel Michael, there are signs appearing around you now that this divine union is getting closer than ever before. The first sign is the increase in spiritual dreams. Many of you have started experiencing unusually vivid dreams lately. Dreams that feel emotionally real long after you wake up. Dreams where your future spouse appears suddenly, speaks to you, reaches for you, or creates emotions so powerful they stay with you throughout the day. Archangel Michael says these dreams are not meaningless. When divine unions begin aligning, spiritual communication often increases before physical movement happens. Heaven sometimes prepares the soul first before circumstances fully shift in the physical world. That is why your spirit may already sense changes before your eyes can see them clearly. Chosen one, another sign is repeated numbers and synchronicities appearing more frequently. You may notice repeating patterns everywhere lately, numbers appearing during emotional moments, unexpected reminders connected to your future spouse, songs that suddenly speak directly to your spirit, or random encounters that trigger thoughts of this connection repeatedly. At first it may seem small, but deep down your intuition feels something changing, because it is. Archangel Michael says divine timing leaves signs along the path to reassure chosen souls that heaven is still working behind the scenes. These synchronicities are reminders that what is spiritually aligned cannot remain hidden forever. Another major sign is emotional healing. Chosen one, notice how your heart has been changing recently. Things that once triggered deep pain no longer affect you with the same intensity. You are becoming emotionally stronger, wiser, more peaceful. Even though the journey has been difficult, your spirit is slowly moving from desperation into surrender. This matters deeply, because divine unions cannot fully align while one or both souls are operating from emotional chaos. Healing is part of the preparation process, and Archangel Michael says heaven has been using your seasons of silence to strengthen your discernment, your self-worth, and your spiritual maturity. Your future spouse is also changing, even if you cannot fully see it yet. They are becoming more emotionally aware, more reflective, more honest with themselves about their feelings. The emotional walls they once hid behind are weakening gradually, and because of this transformation, their energy toward you is becoming stronger again. Chosen one, another sign this union is getting closer is the sudden emotional pull you may feel unexpectedly. Sometimes you think about them intensely without warning. Sometimes their energy feels unusually close. Sometimes your intuition tells you something is happening behind the scenes, even though there has been little communication physically. Archangel Michael says, do not ignore your discernment completely. Your spirit often senses energetic shifts before physical confirmation arrives. And one of the strongest signs of all is this. Your future spouse may begin quietly moving toward you again. Not always loudly at first, not always dramatically. Sometimes it begins through watching from a distance, checking your social media, asking mutual connections about you, revisiting old conversations, rereading messages, thinking about contacting you repeatedly, but hesitating because emotions feel overwhelming. Chosen one, Archangel Michael says many divine unions reconnect slowly because fear must fully break before honest communication can happen. But behind the silence, emotional movement is already taking place. Your future spouse is thinking about you far more than they admit. And the closer heaven brings this union toward alignment, the harder it becomes for them to completely stay away emotionally. But hear this clearly. Do not chase. Do not abandon your peace trying to force divine timing. Archangel Michael says what is truly meant for you does not require desperation, manipulation, or emotional exhaustion. If heaven designed this connection, it will unfold through alignment, not through fear-driven pursuit. Your assignment right now is healing, growth, preparation. Continue becoming the person God is shaping you to be, because the healthier your spirit becomes, the more naturally this union can align without toxic patterns interfering again. Chosen one, many people delay blessings by focusing more on anxiety than faith. But heaven is asking you to trust the process, even when you cannot see every detail clearly yet. Some things are still unfolding behind the scenes. Conversations are happening spiritually before they happen physically. Hearts are being softened. Fear is being broken. Wisdom is being gained through separation. Nothing is stagnant. Archangel Michael says you may also notice a growing sense of peace lately, a quiet inner knowing that something important is approaching. Even if confusion still exists occasionally, there is a deeper calm beginning to replace panic inside your spirit. That calm is not accidental. It is preparation. Because when heaven is about to shift a connection into a new season, it often removes emotional chaos first, so both people can recognize the blessing clearly when it arrives. Chosen one, trust the signs without becoming consumed by them. You do not need to force destiny. You do not need to beg for what heaven already knows belongs in alignment. And you do not need to fear missing what God has prepared for you. If this union is written by divine timing, no distance will permanently destroy it. No misunderstanding will completely erase it, and no fear will ultimately overpower what heaven continues guiding together. Archangel Michael says continue walking in faith because the emotional and spiritual shifts happening now are not random. They are signals that this story is moving closer toward the moment where hidden feelings, spiritual truth, and divine timing finally begin unfolding in the physical world. Chosen one, everything has been building toward this moment. The confusion, the silence, the distance, the emotional storms, the dreams, the signs, all of it was leading to one final spiritual awakening inside your future spouse. And now, Archangel Michael says the final revelation has arrived. They now know who you really are, not the version they assumed at the beginning. Not the version filtered through misunderstanding. Not the version shaped by distance or fear, but the truth of your soul. And once this truth entered their heart, nothing inside them stayed the same. It did not happen like a sudden external event. It was an internal collapse of everything they once believed about you. One moment they were questioning. The next moment, clarity entered their spirit so strongly that denial became impossible. They saw you differently. They remembered everything you carried with grace. They understood the depth behind your silence. They recognized the emotional strength behind your patience. And they finally realized that you were never ordinary. You were divinely assigned. Chosen. 1. This realization broke something open inside them emotionally. Archangel Michael says there are moments when divine truth does not just inform the mind, it overwhelms the heart. And that is exactly what is happening now. Your future spouse is experiencing emotional surrender. The resistance they once held is collapsing under the weight of clarity, because now they see it clearly. You were not just someone they met. You were someone heaven sent, and that understanding brings emotion they can no longer control. There are moments they think about you and feel tears rising without explanation. Not tears of confusion anymore, but tears of recognition, tears of regret, tears of understanding what they almost lost. They replay everything in their mind, and now every memory feels heavier, more meaningful, more sacred. Even your silence speaks to them differently now. What once felt like distance now feels like wisdom. What once felt like separation now feels like timing. What once felt uncertain now feels divinely orchestrated. Chosen one. Archangel Michael says they are beginning to understand that nothing about your connection was random. Every delay had purpose. Every silence had meaning. Every emotional distance had a function. It was preparation, not rejection. Preparation for maturity. Preparation for emotional truth. Preparation for spiritual alignment. Because if they had understood your value too early, they may not have had the emotional capacity to hold it correctly. Heaven had to mature both hearts separately before bringing them into awareness of what was truly happening. And now that maturity is beginning to manifest, your future spouse is no longer resisting the truth the same way. They are no longer pushing away thoughts of you. Instead, they are sitting with those emotions, reflecting, feeling deeply, acknowledging what they once avoided. And in that stillness, clarity is growing. Chosen one. This is where emotional surrender begins. They are starting to accept that what they feel for you is not temporary. It is not random. It is not something that fades with time or distance. It is something that returns no matter how far they try to run from it emotionally. And now they are asking themselves the most important question. What if I was wrong about them? That question changes everything. Because once doubt turns into reflection and reflection turns into truth, the heart begins to shift direction. Archangel Michael says your future spouse is entering a state of emotional awakening where they can no longer deny the depth of this connection. They are realizing that the peace they once overlooked in you is exactly what they have been searching for in every other direction since then. And now everything else feels incomplete. Chosen one. This realization is creating a deep emotional wave inside them, a mixture of longing, regret, admiration, and spiritual recognition. They miss your presence in ways they cannot fully explain, not just physically, but energetically, not just emotionally, but spiritually, because your energy became a reference point in their soul. And now everything else feels different without it. There are moments they feel overwhelmed thinking about you. Moments where they pause completely, as if the weight of realization becomes too strong to ignore. moments where they wish they had understood sooner, moments where they silently admit to themselves that you were one of the most meaningful connections they have ever encountered. Chosen one, Archangel Michael says this is not the end of awareness, it is the beginning of action. Because once someone truly understands the value of a divine connection, they cannot unsee it. It begins to shape their decisions. It begins to influence their emotions. It begins to pull them toward resolution. And that is exactly what is happening now. They are no longer confused about your importance. They are no longer uncertain about your impact. They are no longer blind to your value. They know. And knowing changes everything. Because now the question is no longer, who are they to me? The question has become, how do I live with the awareness that I almost lost something irreplaceable? Chosen one, Archangel Michael says this is the moment divine timing begins to accelerate again, not through chaos, not through confusion, but through truth. And the truth now fully revealed inside their heart is simple. You were never ordinary. You were never replaceable, and you were never meant to be forgotten. And according to Archangel Michael, what happens after this realization will determine the next chapter of this divine connection. Chosen one, take a deep breath for this final moment, because everything you have heard throughout this journey was never random. It was a story of awakening, a story of silence turning into recognition, a story of misunderstanding transforming into clarity, a story of distance becoming the very thing that revealed truth. Archangel Michael says this entire connection has been guided through divine timing from the very beginning. Nothing was lost. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was truly delayed in the way the human mind perceives delay. It was all preparation. Preparation for understanding. Preparation for emotional maturity. Preparation for spiritual alignment. And now, as this message reaches its final moment, one truth stands above everything else. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not sluchai or ordinary in your journey. You are chosen. Chosen for a path that requires strength when others give up. Chosen for a love that transforms rather than destroys. Chosen for a destiny that unfolds even when it cannot yet be seen clearly. Archangel Michael says your life has been under divine protection, even in moments you felt alone. Even in moments where you questioned your worth. Even in moments where silence felt heavy and uncertain. Heaven was still guiding your steps, and now everything is beginning to align in ways you are only starting to understand. Your future spouse is not outside the reach of this story. Your emotional journey is not disconnected from divine timing, and your heart has not been carried through pain without purpose. Every experience has shaped you. Every delay has refined you. Every emotional lesson has strengthened you. Every moment of loneliness has deepened your spiritual awareness. And now you are standing in a new level of consciousness, a place where you no longer see everything through fear, but through understanding. Chosen one, Archangel Michael wants you to remember something very important as you leave this message. You do not need to chase what heaven is already aligning. You do not need to force what is already unfolding. And you do not need to fear what God is already shaping behind the scenes. If this connection is truly divine, it will not be destroyed by distance. It will not be erased by misunderstanding. And it will not be forgotten by time. It will return in clarity. It will return in truth. It will return in alignment. But your role is not obsession. Your role is faith. Your role is growth. Your role is becoming the strongest version of yourself spiritually and emotionally. And as you grow, everything meant for you will recognize you naturally. Chosen one. If this message resonated with your spirit, take it as confirmation that you are not walking this journey alone. Something is shifting in your life even now, quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. And when divine timing reaches its next phase, what once felt uncertain will begin to make sense in ways you never expected. Before you go, let this moment stay with you. You are protected. You are guided. You are spiritually supported even when you cannot see it. And what is meant for your destiny cannot be lost. If you felt this message in your heart, leave a comment below and write, "I am chosen and protected." It is not just words, it is a declaration of alignment with your spiritual path. Like this video if you are ready to trust divine timing instead of fear. Subscribe if you want more messages that speak directly to your spirit and your journey. And remember this, chosen one. Some endings are not endings at all. They are the quiet beginning of something heaven has been preparing for your entire life. Archangel Michael says the next chapter is already in motion. And when it arrives, you will understand why everything had to happen exactly the way it did. Stay in faith, stay in alignment, stay in your purpose, because your story is still unfolding, and your destiny has already been written in light.